Hello everyone, Happy New Year. I'm joined today by a very dear friend of mine, Theo Brown, who is also a fellow film fan, a film lover and a filmmaker.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Thank you for having me.
Great pleasure. And what we're going to do today actually is sort of start up a new little segment on the channel, which will allow me to kind of post more videos on a more frequent basis, which is these more kind of casual podcasty type things that you can just kind of watch and enjoy really, and then just watch on the background. They won't be as kind of serious and detail oriented as some of the video essays, so we can just kind of bring people, that's kind of part of the goal, is to actually...
Well, I mentioned to Panwa that we should start doing a pod, so that might be something you see more often on the channel, and we're getting some of the other film students from our course in as well, and getting them to discuss
some friends of ours and stuff like that, for future potential topics. And obviously, being that this is something more relaxed, if there's any topics that you want us to talk about, we would do it, within the bounds of reason. But the first thing that the first episode of this thing is we want to talk about our most anticipated films of 2022 of this year, because I was considering doing a list, but the issue is that it's not really fun to talk about films that excite you by yourself, and it's kind of dead now. So what we've done here is I've had Theo come up with 5 films that he likes and then wants to watch, and I'll come up with 5 films that I want to watch, and we'll talk about them. And actually a lot of the films that he likes I want to watch too, and blah blah blah, but I gave him first pick. And then we'll go through some of the other honourable mentions. So without further ado, let us get into it. So why don't you talk us through your list, my friends?
Okay, my first film, most anticipated films of 2022 is James Cameron's Avatar 2.
Okay.
So this film, the original came out in 2009.
2009.
So it's been, 12, 13 years since then.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the first one in the cinemas. I think we went to watch it 3D. And it was like the CGI at the time just blew my mind. I actually watched it the other day and kind of...
It still holds up.
It did hold up, but I was kind of a little bit... maybe I'm taking it for granted where we've come as well. Yeah. Like with Marvel and stuff, some of their CGI, even in the Spider-Man film, the most recent one, I was kind of a little bit thrown off with. But with the original Avatar, it still holds up. But I'm just ready to see what they're gonna
where they go.
12 years of advancements, technological advancements. James Cameron can now kind of see the landscape a little bit better as well, and also look at the cliches and tropes that he's used a lot in his career, and maybe sort of push away and sort of explore, uncharted territory. So I'm looking forward to that.
The reason I'm so excited for it was because I think, like you, I was part of that generation that actually did love Avatar. A lot of people say it's overrated. It's not overrated.
Yeah.
Fuck you, it's not overrated. It is an epic piece of filmmaking, and I think we can all agree at this point that James Cameron is the king of visual effects and CGI work to many regards. And I remember there was this interview that he did with Denis Villeneuve talking about Dune.
Oh, I watched that.
Right? That was such a good interview. And Denis was, I think, in a way, he's sort of the king of practical science fiction, but also blending it with CGI. Cameron is all CGI, all green screen, all blue screen, but how he does that is so interesting to me. And I think, there was a period of time where CGI used to be frowned upon. Star Wars prequels were shit because they used CGI. But now I think people have had a kind of, me certainly, has had a new found appreciation for the art that can come from computer generated effects and creating something really cinematic out of that. And not only is he doing 2, I think, what is he filming, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at the same time or something?
3 is coming out at 24.
Okay.
So I thought it was going to come out 23, so it's going to be a 1-year gap, but it is going to be a 2-year gap. And then 4, they're editing. So 2 and 3 apparently are kind of towards the finishing touches, but then 4, I think they're in the sort of editing stage.
My biggest fear though is because of all the different blockbusters that have come out, there is going to be a whole new generation of people who are going to grow up and what is Avatar? We didn't have that. We will be there.
Yeah.
My fear is is it going to get overshadowed by some of the other films? Yeah. I hope not, because I think that it's been such a long time.
I think it is. That's why I put it up there as anticipated film. It may not necessarily become the best film, but it is the most anticipated purely because of like the 12-year gap and the tech like
The
progressions. It's gonna be a
spectacle. Yeah. My big fear, though, my one big fear with this film actually is it gonna have the Dune problem, which is, I mean, both of our biggest problems with Dune, I think, is the fact that it just kind of ends. Like it just ends like halfway.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like, and because this has been planned as a trilogy, or as not even a trilogy, like a whole saga for 6-7 films, is this just gonna be like a chapter? And then we're gonna have to wait 2 years, and then the next films will make this better. So that's Avatar 2.
Yeah. What's your?
What's my number 5? Well, I have. They're not in order.
That's my number 1.
That's your number 1. Okay. Well, mine are not in order, but the first one that comes to mind that I want to talk about, I guess, is Matt Reeves' The Batman. We will talk about the other superhero films in a little bit, but for me, the one that definitely sticks out to me is Matt Reeves' The Batman, for a few different reasons. I think Matt Reeves is a terrific director, and I think he's been able to explore the character of Batman purely on a visual level, but in terms of the choices that he's making with Pattinson, he's doing something with the Batman films that we haven't seen before, which is kind of take it down a more mystery thriller driven route. Batman has always been actiony, or Nolan realistic heist style stuff.
Well, they were talking about, so Nolan, some people criticized him because they said like Batman didn't feel comic booky.
No, he's not comic accurate. As a Batman fan, he's not comic accurate.
And that's what he was going for.
Yeah.
So he would have been like, fine. Like I was going for a realistic route. And then sometimes the other Batman iterations have been too comic booky and less realistic. And I think this could be a sort of blend between the gritty reality, but also there is that the visuals look very like almost taken out of like comic books.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I mean, for me, the Zack Snyder Batman is Ben Affleck's my favorite Batman. I think that's the most comic accurate if you take out the fact that he kills in BVS. But what's great about the Matt Reeves one, like you said, is it's not just that they're taking from the comics. He's also creating a film experience, like a cinematic experience that you don't get with say like a Marvel movie.
So what has Matt Reeves done? He did the
Planet of the Apes, Dawn and War.
Yeah.
Like, I think he did Cloverfield. He did Let the Right One In.
And the Planet of the Apes was really good. I enjoyed all of them. And again, the previous films for those, like, you never really bought like the apes as humans, but with his, he really made it realistic.
Yes, he did. And that's what I love about Matt Reeves, which I think in a way almost Nolan couldn't do with the Dark Knight trilogy, which is that when you watch the Apes films, Matt Reeves is able to make you care about the characters and make you care about Caesar and these apes, whilst also creating a truly incredible cinematic experience. Now, of course, everybody knows that Nolan is an incredibly cinematic director, and what I mean is the Batman, this Batman from the trailers and stuff, looks a lot more heightened and
well, there's that shot in the trailer when he's getting shot at, and like he's got red, and the bullets are going red. Yeah, and it's like crazy.
There's a shot like that in Planet of the Apes, by the way, when Caesar's like taking out all the soldiers, and then like you can just hear like gunfire shots. And it's stuff like that I think we were missing out from because Nolan was kind of still discovering it for his early days. Nolan, I love what the visual approach at least that Matt Reeves has taken. Thoughts on Robert Pattinson as Batman?
I'm very excited to see him play that role. I'm a big fan of him. My favourite character he's played is Neo in Tenet, because I thought it was a big charisma piece.
Yeah.
And he hadn't really sort of done that for a while. And so I think Bruce Wayne has got that sort of charisma element to him. He has to have that projection of that. So I'll be interested to see how his Bruce and Batman work.
My one slight concern, and I will say this, is for me, Batman is a character that in a way almost should be supernatural or more than human. And I think that's something that Zack Snyder did very well. And I think as we've heard, this film will explore the psychology of Batman and the mental health issues that he suffers and all sorts of different character-driven things like the Joker did. And I almost feel like Batman, in my opinion, in the comics and stuff, like it's just shown, like it's not that explored, but you just know. Like Batman, I think I heard someone say that Batman, you shouldn't see how he gets into the room; he should already be in the room. Or the fact that like we've never had an iteration of Batman where like the cape is kind of covering his entire body, or like where lightning strikes and he's stood up on a gargoyle and disappeared.
The fact that you can see his like makeup and you can see
it makes it more realistic, right? But I like that kind of Zack Snyder style of like like there's a slow motion shot of him stood above like a fucking gargoyle and he disappears. It's like, I like that kind of, you know. But you know, visually it's shot by Greg Fraser.
What do you think? Oh, he did June.
Yeah, Greg Fraser,
wow.
cinematographer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that. And what do you think of Andy Serkis being Alfred? I kind of had a weird reaction to seeing him be.
I mean, for me, my choice.
I always kind of like a bit older.
Are you the one who likes Jeremy Irons? Someone told me they like Jeremy Irons. I love Jeremy Irons as Alfred.
I'm a Michael Caine fan for Alfred, but yeah, I always kind of want someone a little bit older.
Do you know who Charles Dance is?
Yeah,
Tywin Lannister. He would have been perfect, I think, as an older, wiser, but also kind of rugged Alfred, because that's exactly what Tywin Lannister is.
Yeah.
So that's Batman. Moving on to your next film.
Yeah. So my next film is Babylon, which is directed by Damien Chazelle. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Damien Chazelle. I remember, watching Whiplash and completely being blown away, and then watching La La Land and loving it. And so, yeah, you mentioned that this is another LA based.
I believe this is a film about the transition from silent films to talkies in Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm excited to see what Damien Chazelle does with this. And Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, we know, like are just titans, and they're gonna just like absolutely destroy it in this film.
This film would be my number one, as in like it was my number one of last year because we thought that it would come out last year. And I've already talked a little bit about this, so I won't get into it too much. But I think that the effect that Damien Chazelle's had on my career is something that is not lost on this channel. I've already made 1 billion videos about the guy and his films, so I'm not going to get into it too much. But this film, I think, will be very important to me going forward, and is my number one. It's the
Do you
one.
reckon he'll have some romance between
Brad and Margot?
Yeah.
Well, it was originally meant to be Emma Stone.
Okay.
But she was pregnant, so she couldn't do the film or something. I don't know. I'm excited to see. But I will say the one thing I kind of want from this film is that I want it to, in the way that La La Land was a romance film, equal parts of romance and a film about careers and sacrifices that one must make to succeed. I want Babylon to lean more towards that. Because that's where Damien Chazelle really shines. With Whiplash, with First Man, it's all about the obsession. It's all about the personal turmoil that is caused by one's career. And that's something that you and I definitely want to explore in further episodes.
What I love about Damien Chazelle is that his films, like La La Land and Whiplash, are contemporaries, so they are like 21st century, sort of set in the 21st century. And so this one, being a period drama, that's going to be a whole new thing, and that's going to be exciting. But I do love seeing films sort of set nowadays, but called back
period piece. Yes. Not to mention it's still going to be shot by Linus Sandgren, who also did La La Land, but also No Time to Die and Don't Look Up and all sorts. So it'll look incredible. That's Babylon. Moving on to the next one. I've chosen another blockbuster, which is The Grey Man, and this is a film that I think has the potential to be something absolutely incredible. It's Netflix's most expensive film, I believe, at $250 million. This is a Russo brothers film with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans and Ana de Armas. I cannot wait to see Ryan Gosling back because the guy literally has not been in a film since First Man in 2018. Yeah. He has not acted since 2018. So it's been a long time. And he's coming back strong. He's got the Barbie movie, he's got this Wolfman movie with Derek Cianfrance. But The Grey Man, I think if the Russo brothers do it properly and do it well, I think it could be something incredible. A lot of people were not a fan of Cherry. What did you think of Cherry?
I wasn't a massive fan.
I was not a massive fan.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of meh.
Yeah, I just Tom Holland's really pushing the boat out with these sort of other films.
Uncharted, what the?
But yeah, no. Cherry was just.
Because the reason I bring it up is because I think, say what you will about Cherry, it's a visually very interesting film. Like, they tried a lot of things that they weren't able to do on those Marvel films, and they really went overboard with it. If anything, like there was too much of that kind of style. But a film like The Grey Man is almost something that warrants.
And so,
that style.
do you know much about the plot?
I think it's just like this international globe-trotting adventure thriller where like Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans chase each other around the planet and try to kill each other.
It's quite interesting casting Chris Evans in that.
In a villain,
as a villain character.
I've heard he's playing a kind of character that you've never seen Chris Evans play before, which will be interesting because he's played a lot of like the stoic hero.
Well, his voice always sort of calls to being like a more hero character or something, but that's going to definitely be interesting.
Next up for you,
The Killer by David Fincher.
Yeah. That's like my number 2.
We're not 100% sure it will come out in 2026.
It's still filming, I think.
But you said he's quite efficient with sort of getting it
Fincher,
through.
man. Like, what do you know?
Yeah, so he should be able to get that through production quite quickly. He's directing Michael Fassbender as a contract killer. So that instantly sort of sounds really fun.
Oh, so Fassbender is an assassin. He's not like, I thought he was solving a mystery. No, he's not.
With the Seven screenwriter Andrew Kevin Walker.
Yeah.
So again,
we're going back to that.
And the cinematographer by Eric Messersmith.
He won Best Cinematography for Mank last year.
For Mank, which I thought was great. I think The Killer, David Fincher, Michael Fassbender. I just don't think you can go wrong with that.
You also have Tilda Swinton in the mix, who's one of my favourite actresses. My God. It's Fincher's back kind of doing what he does best, really. Yeah,
he had a little break with Mank and now he's sort of coming. So what was the one before Mank?
The one before Mank was Gone Girl, but he had 2 seasons of Mindhunter.
Okay. Yeah.
It's Fincher, and I think it takes place in Paris. What more could you want? What more could you want? David Fincher and Michael Fassbender is a pairing that I've always wanted to see because I think they've never worked together. But they should. They really should.
They definitely have the sort of similar sensibilities, and I feel. But so what's your next?
Next up, I'm just going to get through some of these blockbusters. Again, I've talked already last year about Mission Impossible 7 and all that kind of stuff. What I want to talk about actually that I didn't get to talk about last year was Bullet Train, which is a David Leitch film with Brad Pitt and like Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Sandra Bullock, Brian Tyree Henry, and it's sort of an action comedy that takes place on a bullet train, and the entire film pretty much takes place on this speeding train. And I think that it's going to show us a side of Brad Pitt and the side of a lot of these actors that we have not seen before.
Well, I really enjoyed
Atomic Blonde.
I thought
I love
he sort of with that he sort of it had like that neon light stuff which they did with the graffiti stuff, and what I liked about that was it's basically just saying, you know what, we're not going to take ourselves too seriously. No. We're watching a Cold War type spy thriller, which they didn't take themselves too seriously, and some of the plot did unfold towards the end, and it didn't really make sense. But it was still fun, and it was still a journey. So hopefully, he sort of figured out the sort of third act, and then with this film, sort of does the same sort of visual stuff that he did. And then it wasn't there like a really long take in Atomic Blonde for like 12 minutes or something as she fights down the staircase. That whole scene's amazing.
Let's see more of that. I think that
Bullet Train will definitely have a long take. Like you can imagine just sort of
across the train.
Yeah.
Across the train. I mean, look, I think it's just going to be one of those action films that is going to knock it out of the park with it.
Will it? Do you think? I don't think it will be similar to Snowpiercer in that. Is it sci-fi? Is it like futuristic?
I don't know. I don't know. What I hope is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, like you said, but also we get cool action. Just like, how in the same way that we watch Shang-Chi, we're like, it has problems, but the action's fucking sick. I hope that that's something like Bullet Train. Moving on, your next one.
Killers of the Flower Moon, directed by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. Biggest film ever.
It's his biggest film ever. So what's the budget?
I heard something along the lines of 220.
But I just that blows my mind because it's a Western crime drama.
No. Apparently it's a fucking epic Western with like loads of like people riding on horses and shit.
Okay. So they spent a fuck ton of money.
Because Scorsese was gassed to make the film because he was like.
And who's is it? So it's not a is it a Netflix?
It's like an Apple or Paramount or something. Okay. Yeah. It's like it's a weird one, but.
Okay, interesting. And also, I was a bit disappointed with Leo's sort of "Don't Look Up."
Were you?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of "Don't Look Up" in general. I just didn't find it. I'm such a huge fan of The Big Short, which I know you're not a massive fan of. But Yeah, so I think Leo, it's going to be good to see him back in a sort of
back in his element,
a serious role.
With Scorsese.
Yeah, with Scorsese. So
what is it? This is their first film since Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
And De Niro as well, and we've never seen those two together in a Scorsese film. I did mention
De Niro's in
as well. He plays DiCaprio's dad or something, I think.
Oh, wow.
But they did actually. For those of you who don't know, I think it's still on the internet. Scorsese directed like a really expensive $100 million commercial for a Macau casino, and it had DiCaprio, De Niro, and Brad Pitt. And it's like a really stupid commercial. It's like 20 minutes long, and it cost $100 million to make or something. But
wow.
That's the only time
What
they've ever
happened?
worked together.
What happened in the
nothing? They play themselves, and then I think it's like a thing where like they have to audition. Like basically, DiCaprio and De Niro are fighting for a role in a Scorsese film, and Brad Pitt comes in at the end because Scorsese gets creeped out by them fighting, so he calls Brad Pitt at the end and says, "Can you act in my film?"
And so it's for
a Macau casino, but basically they just travel around Macau.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like
I might have to check that out. That sounds very interesting.
But yeah, I mean, Killers of the Flower Moon is going to be a special one. It's going to be a cinematic event.
Yeah.
And I think, just looking at some of the directors next year, I mean, James Cameron, Martin Scorsese, David Fincher, right?
Yeah, it's my favourites, really.
And even on some of the films that we haven't looked at, so much, but Yorgos Lanthimos has got one. I think Sam Mendes has got one. He's got one with Olivia Colman, but I don't know if it's coming on next year. But Deakins is filming that again. Disappointment Boulevard with Ari Aster. We have got some incredible directors coming up next.
So yeah, your next one?
Yeah, and that's actually a great segue into my last two films. And the first one which I'll talk about now is The Northman with Robert Eggers. Another kind of upcoming talent. And when that trailer came out, I will say it looked a lot. I actually predicted this when I talked about The Northman last year. I said that. I have a feeling it's going to be something like Valhalla Rising visually, which is a film with Mads Mikkelsen and Nicholas Winding Refn directed it, and it kind of does. It kind of looks a bit like Valhalla Rising.
Also, he's casted Willem Dafoe in it as well. So and he's playing a similar sort of creepy character in the trailer. Yeah, it seems that way.
It's cool, and I want to see. What I want to see Robert Eggers directing action. Yeah. My God, is that going to be awesome?
And it's got similar tones to The Lighthouse in terms of it is like a psychological.
Oh yeah.
And it's very thriller. And he does those stories that are sort of like he does stories that are like that horror, but sort of with a spin.
So that was The Northman. And Theo, why don't you talk us about the next one?
So my final film, we sort of had a look at the whole list, and I thought I'd do something a bit different, go for something out there. My fifth film is Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yes.
Directed by Taika Waititi, who did Thor Ragnarok.
He's got next Four Winds coming up as well.
This one's coming out in July 8th, so it's sort of sooner on the list than some of the others. So the other ones are sort of coming out towards the end of the year, December time. I'm sure Killer will probably come out November, December time. And then Killers of the Flower Moon hasn't actually got a release date yet, but it was meant to come out in 2021.
It was.
So Thor: Love and Thunder, Taika talked about it being a romance film, which we haven't seen.
It would be so interesting.
Have we seen that in the MCU?
No, really, no, not really.
I just thought
Eternals kind of, but not really.
Why haven't they explored different genres? Like
they've done that.
The MCU haven't ever done the horror genre.
They do have Doctor Strange though.
Yeah,
sort of, not fully, but sort of.
And the MCU never done the horror in the same way DC have, or they've never done the romance or a rom-com. I always thought it would be interesting to do a rom-com with superheroes. Like
I think in a way that's what WandaVision or Loki was, kind of certain kind of romance. But on a film, on a proper go at it, I think it would be interesting. Plus you got Christian Bale and Russell Crowe on the film. God.
I'm very excited for that. And yeah, that's going to be great. And then also, where do we leave off with Thor after Endgame.
Well, he goes off with the Guardians.
He's still quite big, quite fat.
Yeah, but there these pictures that have come out of him just being jacked.
Okay.
So he's jacked again.
So he somehow, there might be like a montage of him.
Yeah, a training montage.
But then, so he went off with the Guardians. Will they be in this?
Yes. Chris Pratt is in it, I think.
So it's almost a sort of Guardians 3.
It's a very cosmic film, and I've heard rumours that there'll be Eternals turning up as well. So some of them will be turning up, which should be cool.
Okay, I'm sure we'll probably see Harry Styles in it as well.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So that's Thor.
Yeah, and your last.
My last one in the top 5 is Don't Worry Darling, which is the new Olivia Wilde film, which I kind of talked about again last year. I do want to kind of drop a special mention to the David O. Russell movie that was kind of making the rounds. That basically stars everybody in Hollywood, so like Bale and John David, Margot Robbie and Angelina Jolie, whatever. Basically every remotely famous, successful actor in Hollywood is in that film, but we don't know anything about it. We haven't seen anything. Just some set pictures. But with Don't Worry Darling, it's such an interesting concept, and it's this sort of period piece with Harry Styles and Florence Pugh and Chris Pine and Gemma Chan.
I always find it quite fun seeing Harry Styles, seeing a pop singer sort of try acting, and then when you see someone who isn't like originally an actor, you've got a sort of hyper judgment on them, sort of saying, do they have what it takes? Was the casting just because they're sort of famous, or was it actually good casting? And I think he received a lot of good press after Dunkirk.
He was good, decent Dunkirk.
And so I think people are sort of now at a point where they're willing to give him a shot. And obviously he's dating Olivia Wilde, so that helps.
As a result of this film, by the way.
Okay.
That's how
as a result. So
okay.
That's how and it's a psychological thriller, which is always a good fun genre.
Yeah.
And so Harry Styles and Florence Pugh. Do you reckon they're married or
something of the
family?
sort? Yeah. I actually want. It's one of those films I guarantee when the trailers come out and everything, they're gonna be so cryptic about it because it's gonna be one of those with twists, with secrets, with kind of exciting things to look at. So that's our kind of top 5. Obviously, there are some other films that we haven't talked about. Maybe
honourable mentions.
There's a lot of superhero movies.
Let's have a talk about the superheroes.
Doctor Strange.
Did you like the trailer?
It's alright. For me, I'm most excited for 2 things really, which is the Sam Raimi stuff. Already seeing some of his input on the film, his visual style.
So Sam Raimi
directing it.
Okay, yeah.
And there's that shot in the trailer.
He's directing
Doctor Strange 2, he is, yeah. And there's that one shot that you see, I'll play it now, where you see Benedict Cumberbatch's face like, reflected through the cracked watch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of visual dynamism that the MCU is missing, my friend. And not only that, it's the potential of seeing some very, very important people. In that, where No Way Home brought us a lot of the Sony characters, it's been rumoured that Doctor Strange is bringing a lot of the Fox characters. X-Men, Fantastic Four.
You mentioned this.
Yes. Are we seeing Fassbender? Are we seeing McAvoy? Are we seeing Stewart?
Yeah.
Stewart. I've heard Stewart.
Hugh Jackman?
Oh, mate, I will lose my shit.
In the MCU, that doesn't make sense.
I will lose my fucking shit if Hugh Jackman turns out. Like, it'll make Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire look like nothing.
Yeah.
Like Hugh Jackman, because Wolverine was my favourite.
But the thing is, the X-Men stuff, towards the end, was just getting a bit crazy with time, going back in time, and then like all of this stuff. So it does lend itself to some weird multiverse stuff.
You know.
So that would be quite interesting.
I've heard Captain Carter is turning up.
Okay.
What If? I think What If is slept on. Not only that, but I think that What If is gonna have a very big impact on the multiverse. And because we've seen Strange Supreme, right? We've seen the evil Strange. We're hearing that.
Do you reckon, what's his name, Kang? Kang's going to
turn up in Strange?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I heard that Loki's turning up too.
Surely it's likely that Loki meeting Kang, the multiverse opening, it's going to come in.
It has to.
So that's going to be fun.
I can't wait for Doctor Strange actually. But other superhero movies, we've got Black Panther 2, which will be hopefully a very beautiful, touching conclusion to how they deal with the Chadwick Boseman loss. I watched Creed the other day in Creed 2. They are incredible films, and I'm reminded that Ryan Coogler is such an incredible director, and I think he will go about handling that in the best way possible.
Yeah.
The Marvels is not a film that I'm excited for very much.
Marvels?
The Marvels. So it's Captain Marvel 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's not much to say.
Yeah, anyway. And then DC.
Yeah.
I'm actually most excited for Aquaman 2 because it's the only one I know is going to be good. The Flash, yes, we're seeing Michael Keaton, yes, we're seeing Ben Affleck, but again, they just haven't done the legwork, and it breaks my heart as a DC fan because I am a DC fan at my core, and I just don't think that they're they're doing what needs to be done. They don't seem to understand the assignment.
Yeah.
And from some of these leaks and rumors that have come out, it's not good. The way that Affleck and Cavill are potentially being treated is no. We also have Black Adam, which I'm not that excited for.
Okay, so that's Marvel.
No, that's DC.
Oh,
That's DC. That's the Shazam world.
Okay.
I think Shazam 2 is also coming out. I don't know. But that's The Rock as Black Adam. And the thing I'm most excited for in that film is actually Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, because that's perfect casting. But the one, like I said, the one that I know is going to be good is Aquaman 2, because I think James Wan is a terrific director, and he will make a brilliant film. Granted that certain people are given as limited screen time as possible, because for obvious reasons. But I think Jason Momoa and the rest of the cast will do a terrific job. The last kind of big superhero movie that comes to mind for me is Spider-Man. What is it? Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Part 1.
Which I actually think is too similar to the title of the
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I just think they could have mixed it up a bit.
Yeah, but again, that's one of those films that we know is going to be good.
Yeah.
We just do. There's no question about that. So I'm just going to rattle through some other films that we haven't talked about. So we've got Barbie. Ryan Gosling, Margot Robbie, Greta Gerwig.
I don't know what is going on.
I don't know what the fuck's going on, but it'll be cool.
Yeah.
We've got Disappointment Boulevard, Ari Aster, Joaquin Phoenix. Gonna be great.
Okay. Yeah.
We've got. I don't know what it's called. We do have the Sam Mendes film with Olivia Colman that I think is going to be brilliant.
Okay.
Yorgos Lanthimos on The Poor Things.
Oh, another film that I'm very interested to watch is Operation Mincemeat.
I think that's a this year film. I think that was a 2021 film.
No, I think it's coming out in really? January, February.
With Colin Firth.
Yeah, so Operation Mincemeat follows the story of a real story of when the Brits wanted to trick the Germans into giving them false intelligence. So what they did was they found a body from the morgue and filled it with private documents and then washed it up onto a Spanish speech.
Right.
And I think my granny was talking about, we have a family connection, that there was a link that maybe someone in our family is working on that operation. So I'm excited for that one, and I always love just a British war film.
You do,
in that style. I did actually really enjoy Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which I'm not sure.
I am not a fan of that film. I think it's the most overrated film.
But there's also The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which is directed by Tom Gormican.
Who's did
that? That is what's his name? Nick Cage.
Oh, so Nick Cage playing Nick Cage.
Yeah, and so the director did that awkward moment, which I actually did really enjoy, with Zac Efron
and Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller. That's a good film. I like that film.
Yeah.
I like that film a lot.
So the trailer looks quite silly, but it looks quite fun, and it could be one of those times where the meta films where characters playing themselves could actually work.
Yeah.
It does have that sort of that vibe, which I'm looking forward to. And obviously, Mission Impossible 7. I've never been a huge fan of Mission Impossibles compared to Jason Bourne's or James Bond.
So I've never been a Bourne fan. I've always been a Mission Impossible fan myself.
So I've always sort of leaned towards Bourne and Bond, but Cruise is 59 years old, and he's riding a motorcycle off a cliff and then parachuting.
What the fuck?
So I just think that alone is like a miracle that we need to watch.
How is he still like? Okay, and then segue.
And
Top
he's going to be in Top Gun.
Top Gun.
That's a huge film that we've left off the list. Yeah, Top Gun Maverick, which I'm very excited for.
Joseph Kosinski is a great director.
And I also am excited for. I think this is in the future, not this year. Is the Tom Cruise film that he's shooting with Doug Liman, and they're shooting it in actual space. So it's the first film to be shot in actual space, which is mental.
So to finish off, I'm just going to run through some other final films. We've got Blonde from Andrew Dominic and Anna de Armas. It's with the NC-17 rating.
Wait, so
She's playing Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, that
very interesting.
I'm excited for that.
Next Door Wins, Taika Waititi. We've got The Whale with Darren Aronofsky and Brendan Fraser. Will be immensely interesting. 3,000 Years of Longing, that's George Miller, so Mad Max. He's doing it with Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton, I believe. We've got another Spielberg film called The Fabelmans. This is basically his Spielberg's childhood. It's his Roma. All right, it's his equivalent to Roma.
Wow.
And he's got a great cast with him. What else have we got here? We have, I think, is this? No, this is not what I'm talking about. We have Nope, which is Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele and Stephen Yeun and Daniel Kaluuya, and I think who else is in this? Keke Palmer is in this. Shot by Hoytman, so that'll be very exciting. Death on the Nile, which they just kind of thrown under the rug for the Armie Hammer thing. But yeah, those are some of the films that we are excited for.
Are you a fan of Kenneth Branagh's sort of? He's doing these Agatha Christie.
I don't mind them.
Yeah.
I don't mind them, especially if we're gonna get a Kenneth Branagh kind of Agatha Christie thing every few years, and we get a Knives Out thing every few years. That'll be fine. I'm happy with that. Oh wait, is Knives Out 2 coming out next year as well? Is that right?
Right. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah.
Knives Out 2. You were saying,
the cast,
the Netflix thing in terms of they're spending a fuck.
I don't know if it is gonna come out 2022. It does say 2022.
Yeah. Well, Knives Out. I'm gonna be looking forward to that.
I'm gonna be looking forward to that. I like the first one. So yes, that is our list and our little conversation about our most anticipated films of this particular year. Let us know in the comments what you love, and also what other topics you'd like us to discuss in the near future. We will be filming a few more, and we'll put them out in due course. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed us as well as Theo's cameo and appearance. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.
Thank you.